It's like the eagle's nest.
Yeah, yeah. That's what someone said.
Cute.
And to give you some idea of how things are in Spain on the material level, where I was living in Andalusia, near Marbella, the Costa del Sol.
Yes.
That house, Daniel's been there many times. It was a small house of 2 stories, downstairs and upstairs. And the space of that house that I was in, well, granted, it had a spectacular setting. On a rugged hillside, you could see the Straits of Gibraltar, you could see the mountains of Africa across the straits. I mean, it was completely insanely beautiful.
Yeah. Do you miss that house?
No, I don't. The only thing I miss is the vultures. I do miss the vultures because I was very close to the vultures. But that house, you remember, that house was probably had a room when you came in about the size of this room with a fireplace there. Then it had the kitchen and the bedroom downstairs. Then you go out on the terrace and you had to go upstairs outside. And then there was 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up there. The total space of that house can fit in the salon and kitchen of the house I'm in now. The house I'm in now is probably, 6 times larger than that house, right?
Yeah, at least.
It's incredible.
And it cost me €100 less a month.
Fantastic.
Absolutely incredible.
The house in Andalusia cost me €550 a month. And this one cost me €450 a month. The office that I have, the biggest office that I've ever had, I can't complain about space anymore. I'm disappointed now. Because, I like to complain. And I was so complaining in that house because I didn't have room to do anything.
That was one issue. That
it was terrible. And now I have a huge office. It's like 3 times as large as this room.
But how is it going on? I mean, what is the situation with Catalonia trying to separate? I know I'm going.
I think Catalonia did vote to separate, didn't it? Yeah. Well, this is not Catalonia. This is Galicia, which is a different country, sort of set apart.
Yes.
But if you imagine a house like the one I'm in for $450 a month, and a tiny little house like the one I had in Andalusia for $550, you see that it's crazy in Spain. Why was it so expensive down there? Because that's a very chic Marbella, Costa del Sol. Whereas Galicia is like, it's like another country.
Yeah, but that's the situation in Spain. Yeah. You have different countries
in the same country. In the same country.
Yes.
I don't know what's the Catalonians. They're very hard-working people and they're prosperous and they resent having to pay for the rest of Spain. They think the rest of Spain people are losers and lazy. But I guess they voted to secede. We'll see what happens.
There was a lot of bad situations there. The police were very aggressive.
Well, yeah, because the police are, who the police work for.
Yes.
So, the police are protecting the interests of the people in power. And this is a big threat. But I would like to see it happen more. I would like to see Europe break up into regions. I think the United States is going to break up into states, individual states. There are about 30 states in the United States which have, it's called secession. That's when you withdraw from the Union, who have movements for secession. They just don't want to have anything to do with the government anymore. You see, there's I think it's in the Bill of Rights, or in the amendments to the Constitution, I'm not sure. But there's a proposition in the founding documents of the United States that's really, really clear.
I think it's an amendment.
Yeah, and it says the governor of any state and the people of the state can overrule anything of the federal. That they set it up this way, so that they have a federal government in Washington which is ruling over all the 50 states. But if there's any one state that doesn't want to go along with it, yeah. But they don't do that. You see, they don't.
No.
They don't. They pretend that rule doesn't exist. So they have the right, if you want to use that horrible word, they have the right to say to the government, fuck off and leave us alone. We're not going to do what you say. But they don't do that. But maybe when things get really bad, they'll start to do that now. Anyway, that's America. The Union of Soviet States of America.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go over these questions. Just quickly. So, just tell me something. The man I met yesterday was called
Torbjörn Sasselson, yeah.
Torbjörn?
Sasselson, yeah.
And these are his 3 questions.
Yes.
Okay, look.
You read the question.
Okay.
He will not come today.
No.
Okay. Maybe the questions are of interest to some.
others,
Yeah.
maybe.
They're not really.
They are not. And then
No.
skip them.
Okay.
The only question that I will include from his 4 questions is what is the current state of the Archons? Are they still negatively influencing humankind? Or are they losing or gaining power over humans?
Yeah, I like that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good question because I had that in mind because you have said also about the shield.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, what do you have to say about those questions? Any of you? What is your perception of the Archons? I mean, of any of you being attacked by the Archons?
Yeah, I thought that was years ago. Not after the shield though.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me also. I had more intense feelings before the shield.
Yeah.
Especially in the nights, actually.
Really?
I know the shakings and the things that I've explained to you. But I don't know if it was Archon intrusion. But my feeling is that we are doing it by ourselves here now. We are the how do you say, the city life and the people are quantified. So they have managed to do it in the city life or with certain people.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing to do.
Son of a bunch. So good.
But now we have the power. We had the power before also. And we have the power now to take away our quantic intrusion.
Last year, I think it was, this time last year. And it started in the summer. I had this, it was something like a button. It was pushed, and I had these suicidal thoughts.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like I could track it, every Monday for some weeks. This button, it just went on. I could be outside, and suddenly I got these thoughts and really dark thoughts and feelings, and I could see that some of those wasn't mine. This is very it's hard for me, it's difficult to put the words on this because it has been it was really a process for me to get out from that. But I jump to this year. I've noticed that what you said, John, that it will come a time when it's like they never was here.
Yeah.
Were here. And I'm feeling we're going into that time now. So, yeah.
Well, I have to agree with that.
Sorry, it was... Sorry. I'm not crying, it's just a relief that I can speak about it and that I'm through it. No, I don't think I was alone in that period of time. But it was like an attack. And it felt very artificial. And it was more intense when I was in the city. By the time I moved out of the city and I was living, I was just took a pause from my work, and I was, by the time I was doing a play on a theater in Malmö, just south of Sweden. It was about chemtrails, and I was the director of the project, and was in the, how do you say, I was leading that project, yeah.
You were putting the project.
Yeah, so I was like in a place where I was a good target for different,
Right.
and I could see it come through people as well. And there was a lady, she's a critic, and she just cut me into pieces in her in the media with that, and she just attacked me. And sorry.
But there were also people writing negative stuff before the play even went up. So
Yeah.
you were attacked even before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really strange.
Yeah. So, but I came through it, so I'm.
Yeah. Good.
But it's hard. It's still hard for me to put words on in English. But I think with her and staying in her story, it was like I was protected in a way, because when I was with the trees and the nature, it was like they couldn't get me there.
Yes.
But it's difficult to be in the cities. I think it's becoming more and more crazy. So, yeah.
Yes, the place you were living at back then is triangulated by, is it three really big cell phones?
Yeah, and they put this 5G as well now, so...
Yeah, so I think they can use that. I don't think it's the Archons, but I think it's the Archontified human beings that are using these technologies to come inside of our minds.
Yes.
So that's my...
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, the sacred plants we were talking about are a small part of the total plant life on Earth. So plant life on Earth, of course, consists of millions and millions of species. We can just look out here, there's hundreds of species right out here. The moss is a species, and there are different kinds of moss. Pine trees, the trees that stay green, the other trees that turn color. So if you look at the entire totality of plant life, you find that there are, well, the last I knew, if you read Plants of the Gods by Wasson and Schulze and Christian Roch, they say in there that we have detected about 200 species which are psychoactive. I think probably maybe now there may be more, because that book is about 30 years old or something. So anyway, let's just say there's 400 species, which is just a tiny amount. And to put it in her story, the purpose of these species, what is the purpose of these species in her story? Well, it has a lot to do with the Archons. To put it in the framework of the narrative, before the earth was formed and before even humanity appeared on the earth, Sophia had certain realizations about the world to come. This is a big part of the narrative, and it's not an easy part to follow, because you have to imagine that the earth isn't there, that the sun is there and Sophia is there, and she's starting to turn into the earth, and there are these conversations that happen in the extraterrestrial world. It's quite a long reach for the imagination to picture these, but it's part of the narrative. So at that moment, she saw that the Archons would be a tremendous problem for humanity, and she didn't know how exactly. So she gave them their own world. She allowed them to construct their own world, but she knew that they violate boundaries, so they weren't going to stay in her world, and there would be a lot of problems. So to move the story ahead now, so she turned into the earth, and then she becomes the Mother Earth, and the human species arises here. And in that period of time, I would say that Sophia came to realize that the problem with the Archons was very, very severe, and that was the risk that they would drive us insane. And so she provided a remedy for that, which is the sacred plants. It's as if she said, I see that my Rome species will be threatened and tormented by these alien intruders. And they haven't been designed to handle that kind of stuff, Because in the Pleroma, when I designed the species, I didn't expect them to be facing the impact of these Archons. So she saw the situation, and she said, then I will produce out of my own body the sacred medicine that will restore them to sanity, that will give them the power to know their true potential, to know their mind, and to be healed. That's how I think of the sacred plants. Mm-hmm. So, among all the plants, all the plants are healing in some way or another, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everything can heal. Pine cones, every ordinary plants, weeds, what do you call them? Thistles, Thistles are very powerful healers against infections and things like that.
Yeah, antibiotic comes from there.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Fungus is,
And all the funguses and all those things. So she gave us the sacred plants as a medicine to heal our minds against this archonic problem. So the Archons are clever, and they realized that the Divine Mother would take these measures to protect us. So they studied us for millions and millions of years in order to come up with their own plan of how they can attack us. You see? So this is an analogy. Just think of this. The psychoactive plants have, when you take them, they create a chemical reaction in your brain. And that chemical reaction is similar to the natural chemistry of your brain already. So all they do is they enhance and amplify the natural chemistry of your brain. This is a scientific fact, right?
They boost the chemical.
They boost it. Mm-hmm. So that's why the terminology is they have psychomimetic properties. That is to say, the plants imitate what is already happening in your mind and in your psyche. They're designed that way. Is it?
It's a way of doping your brain. In a way.
That's right. Exactly. So you have to get this very, very clear about what are those psychoactive properties. I also call them cerebromimetic, meaning that they just mirror the functions of the brain that is already there. If you take psilocybe mexicana, it doesn't change your brain at all. It just amplifies the power of it to its highest potential. And so those plants are designed to do that, right? Now remember that the Archons cannot do anything original. They can only imitate what they see. But when they imitate something, then they can take that and they can twist it to their own agenda. Okay, now we come to the situation in the modern world today. And case one for the demonstration, okay? Your typical archonic device. Where was I? Yeah, I guess I was at Brussels in the SAS lounge, waiting for the plane to take off and just looking at how many people are with their devices. Everybody.
Yeah.
It is very recent, though. Bear that in mind. It's a horrible, horrible addiction, but it's a very recent addiction. It's only about 20 years old. So it came on very fast. It can go very fast. Bear that in mind. So anyway, the Archons now, from observing us and from outer space, said, well, we know how we can attack the human species on the Earth. The fundamental way we can attack them is we can broadcast our mind frequency to them. And eventually we will break down their mind and we will replace it with our mind. That's their basic strategy. They want to replace your mind with their mind. How did they do that? Well, I've described various techniques that they use, like they do remote viewing, and they look at the back of your head and things like this. So any single human being, in the course of its life, any single human animal, can have a whole team of Archons working on it. Because there are billions and billions of them.
Billions of them.
Yeah. They have a whole team of them working on you. But they're actually quite limited into what they can do. Their primary tactic is to broadcast that sound of the archonic frequency, which is like the sound of crickets. When you hear crickets.
Yeah.
The chorus of crickets. But it's not audible. It's in a audio frequency of very high hertz. What it is high level shortwave radiation, which is exactly what this works on. Shortwave radiation. Okay? So this is what they do. They're broadcasting shortwave radiation to the Earth, and that already has an effect on human animals to kind of stun them and confuse them. And then once they have them stunned and confused, then they try to bring their mindset into the human mind. It's really they are mind parasites. Absolutely perfect description. But then they found out over a period of time that wasn't as successful as it could be. So they came up with another plan. They said, well, we have a certain control over the human mind. As you know, most of the control they had over the human mind was through religion. That's how they first started. Yeah? But in modern times, particularly in the 20th and 21st century, the control over religion is not so reliable to them anymore. They need to find a new tool of control. And that is like technology. Right?
Yeah.
So, they see that human beings, like at the beginning of the 20th century, are starting to develop a technology of frequencies. So the first thing you have is radio, the discovery of radio and the broadcasting of radio. And so they watch this, and again, they can't do anything. They can only take advantage of what we're already doing and pervert it, right? So, and they can only copy. So, remember that the psychoactive plants have a chemistry that copies the natural chemistry of your brain. So the Archons said, well, human beings are creating this technology, and if we could get them to design a technology that would copy our brains, copy our mind, then human beings would be creating the technology of their own destruction.
Artificial intelligence.
And can you follow that? So what they did was they induced or persuaded us, in the way that they operate, to make the technology that would finally destroy us. And that's what this technology is. These shortwave radios, these satellite communications, these cell towers. Television is also a great tool for them, because it puts you in a trance from the flickering of the television. So they said, oh great.
Computers are the same.
Computers as well. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say, like, I don't spend a lot of time on the cell phone, but they are on the computer all day.
That's right.
So it's the same thing.
That's right. And the touchpads. So it was really a great good luck for them. Human minds discovered this technology at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. And it didn't have to develop in the way that it did. It could have developed in a very wonderful way. Because we're smart. And we can make technology that doesn't damage us. Of course we can. We can use the resources of the environment without destroying the environment. Of course we can. So it didn't have to go in that way, but it went in that way, didn't it? It went toward destruction of the environment and toward the capturing the human mind in this technology, with this technology. So that was their answer to the sacred plants. This is like a sacred mushroom to the Archons. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They said, oh, look, she gave them those plants that will help them deal with the insanity that we are inflicting on them, but we'll go even better, because we will induce them and trick them into making a technology that will destroy themselves. Okay? So, that's the big picture, right? So what's the situation today? Well, correction began in 2014. So there's been about 3.5 years of correction. That's about 13 seconds. And it's moving very, very fast. She knows that we can't handle the Archons. She knows that we were not designed to handle the Archons. So she's doing everything she can to take care of that problem, right? Which is the problem that she created in the first place, as you know. This is always important to bear in mind. A lot of people can't accept this. I've had people say, "Oh, come on, how could a divine being make a mistake?" And they reject it. But they're missing something really, really beautiful. When you know that they can make a mistake and that you can feel empathy for her, for your divine mother, because on the cosmic level she is dealing with a problem of that nature. Then you begin, that's how you love her, that's how you get close to her.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So she did make this mistake of the Archons, producing the Archons, unintentionally. The world as you know it, the world system in which you live, came about through a mistake, through an anomaly.
That's a quote from...
Yeah, it's from Nagamani, the Gospel of Philip.
Yeah.
So, you get to the point. She put up a shield within the first 2 seconds of correction. 2 seconds into correction, she put up a shield. She put up that shield in August and September of 2014. And I remember so well, I was in Andalusia, and I had finished the GNE, and I was wondering where to go next. And it came to August, I was looking at the planetary intel, the new moon, the Dakini shifts, I was following everything. And I woke up one morning, it was around the 3rd of August, I think. And that's when I had that experience I call the prairie dog. You know what the prairie dog is? They're these little animals, that live in holes.
Yeah, yeah.
And they come up out of the hole and they go.
Looking around, yeah.
And I was like, sitting on my terrace. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? And I just tuned in. And then I knew what she was doing. When you know her mind really well, you know these things. It's like, again, like an animal. If you had a beautiful horse that you loved and knew for many years, and one day you wake up in the morning and you're having breakfast and you're having tea, and your horse is out in the field and something happened to your horse. You know that something happened to your horse, don't you? You just know it. So I knew something happened and that she was doing something. So I wrote that memo about it, about the UTI, right? The Unpulsed Telluric Infrasound. That's what it was. Blasts. She used these blasts of sound from her body to create a shell, and then she sealed off that shell. And she did it in 2 bursts. The first burst, it took 18 solid days. Just imagine a signal that lasts 18 solid days and does not modulate. It's unpulsed. And then she paused for 5 days, and then she did another signal that lasted 28 days, and she completed it at the equinox, 2014. So I wrote a memo about that, and I was like, I can't tell anybody about this. This is so insane, They're going to think I'm making this up for sure. So I sent it to 3 people, just as a record. I said, well, I want people to know about this, but I don't want to come out and say it now, because I don't have any evidence of it. It's just more of the Nahual story, Well, as you probably know, in November, I think it was, of 2014, there was an article published saying that scientists had discovered a massive shield surrounding the Earth. And they couldn't figure out where it came from. It wasn't there before. And it was protecting the Earth from cosmic ray emanations.
Fantastic.
I was like,
That's what you did.
all right. So what does that mean? Well, it's quite simple. It means that they have no backup anymore to what they've done. So what we have to deal with now is the things that we have made that are inspired by the Archon mind that are going to destroy us if we don't do something about them. But even so, those machines are fading out at the same time.
They are?
Yes, they are. That's right.
In what way do you...
Well, suppose that this has a battery in it, right?
Yeah.
So we can record on this machine as long as the battery is strong. But if we sat here and talked, eventually the battery would run down and the machine would stop recording. Okay? These Archontic devices are powered from outside, and the battery is running down. So what she has done is two things. She has protected us from the immediate impact of that horrible sound. She appears to be bringing in another sound to get us in her signal, which is this ringing in the ears, right? But additional to protecting us, she has created a situation where the backup power of the Archontic attack is going to die out. It's actually dying out. So what that means, what does that mean? Let's speculate for a minute. To me, the first thing it suggests is that the spell of the Archonic devices will actually wear off. I know it's hard to believe that, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
I really do. I'll just give you a very shallow example. You may know that over the last few months, there is a tremendous, we call it in English, a crackdown. When the police crack down on something, it means that they are using a lot of force to do something. There's a crackdown on the internet. Do you know that? That there are sites there of people who are exposing the truth are disappearing. They're just disappearing. They're taking them off.
Oh, yeah.
They're punishing people who post things on Facebook. It's like a Stalin-esque, it's like the Soviet Union enforcement on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. At the same time, I just heard a few days ago that in 2016, compared to 2015, there was 1/3 less use of Facebook. 1/3 in 2016, less than there was in 2015. That's a hell of a lot of people going off Facebook, right? And so it's hard to imagine, because we rely on this stuff so much, and it's everywhere you go. It's hard to imagine it, but I think in the story, if this is true, that gradually people will just get sick of it. They'll just get sick and tired of it.
I mean, that is the case right now also. You see that, I mean, people getting sick of it, and feels like you say, it's going to be splitting in a way, right? A split first of a group of people that will disregard this, and then another group of people maybe who will follow it, and they will go more insane, and if it disappears...
It's like an addiction.
Addiction, yeah.
Some people will not be able to stop the technological addiction to Facebook, to their iPads. They won't. They won't. What will happen to those people? And think about this too. You know the weather that we're having now. You know the floods. You know the lightning storms. You know the funnels.
Yes.
The funnels that they're seeing everywhere. I don't think they've seen any in Sweden yet, but
No.
these incredible funnels, right? You know what those funnels are? Those funnels are the synapses of her body, of her brain. She's building new synapses. The synapse in your brain that is like the two parts, the axon and the dendron. And where they meet is where the electrical activity of the brain happens, and that's why you can think. She's building a new synapses in her body with these tunnels, these funnels. I think that the way it's going now, the weather will get more violent. There'll be more activity in the northern lights, which will be coming down closer to the earth. And it's possible that she could using electromagnetism, she could just completely wipe this out.
Oh, yes.
Overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it just with an earthquake.
Yeah, even with the
Mexico
nipper.
City was without cell phones and all these kind of
There you go.
things for hours. I mean, and it was not even a strong one.
That's right.
So with these kind of things,
It's already happening, isn't it?
it's already
Yeah.
happening.
And we can see that it could happen through the so-called natural disasters.
Yeah.
But I'm
Through-
guessing that it can happen by
Economy?
it can happen by the economy. And I'm guessing that it can also happen by in her body is electromagnetic,
Yeah.
just like yours, and that she could just, I talked about this pulse in August of 2014. That demonstrates that she can send a pulse out of her body. She could send a pulse out that would cancel all of the whole network, like that.
Like a
Yeah, just like a bulb blowing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can do that, and I have a
overheating
feeling.
or something like
Oh,
that.
what's that?
Overheating or
Yeah,
something like that.
overheating. Right.
Yeah.
She can do that. I have a feeling that it might be going that way. So what happens then? Well, those people who have already started to break the addiction and started to stop relying on them, will be okay.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
those people who rely on them, what's going to happen to them?
They will go insane, right?
But I
Yes.
mean, to be honest, myself, I don't know what I would do if something like that happened. I don't even have food for 1 week in my home. I mean, how many of us can grow our own food? I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly.
We have
Well,
to
if you're
be-
living in the city,
yes,
you're going to be in a dangerous fucking
that's
situation.
something to think
And
about.
that's already the case now.
Yes.
You start to see that now. So
Yeah.
I mean, that is of highest, priority. To go out and also to be
Sufficient.
self-sufficient. I think that is the case, John. Like you say, those people will. Yeah. They will,
I feel, because I also think we're going this way, but I feel like when she do that, I think many of us will be prepared in a way. So, and she will get more intense with her presence and with her light. And we can survive on light or eat less.
It's right. She
Yeah.
can eat less.
And I think she will help us.
Of course she will.
yeah.
But you have to.
Her kindness is infinite.
Yeah.
She's not going to make trouble for us.
No.
She's not going to hurt us in the process of helping us. I totally agree with you. It will, however, be probably easier if you live in the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Easy.
So,
True.
so the archonic devices. Now let's talk about what these archonic devices are doing, because they still are very strong. You described the experience that you had being suicidal. I think that might be quite a common experience for people, although many people wouldn't be honest enough to talk about it, like you did. Because when we were talking about this word miasma, were we talking about this the other
Yeah,
day?
we did. Yes.
Yeah, you know what a miasma is?
Yeah.
There are miasmas on the planet. It's like an emotional cloud, a toxic emotional cloud. That's a miasma. And if you're sitting in your apartment and the miasma comes floating into your apartment that day, you're going to feel what's in it. And it's not your feeling, but it's the feeling of many people who are lost, in despair, confused, afraid, and suicidal.
Absolutely.
The suicidal rate, I just want to flick in Sweden has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Has it really?
Especially by young people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, young people.
Living here is not easy.
No.
Oh, no.
How is the miasma made?
A miasma is probably made by, it's a very good question. I think a miasma of the kind we're talking about is made from human emotions. You know, it's kind of like a soup. A soup. So
Gazpacho
it's a
style.
gazpacho. Really? That's right. Made from rotten vegetables.
Yes. Rotten tomatoes.
Yeah. So, rotten is a good word. People are rotten, you know. They're rotten. And like a rotting body puts out an odor, and this is a miasma. And then when you combine these miasmas, miasmas exist in nature, like plagues are miasmas, you know. The miasmas exist in nature to a certain extent. But when these miasmas of today are combined with the electronic cloud of radiation you're in, this is very, very, very dangerous, you see.
Is it like an entity? It's a collective entity. Can you say that?
Some people say it turns into an entity. It's called an egregore, is the word they use. A thought form, a collective thought form.
Yeah.
I think it does act like a kind of entity. It can. Yeah?
I mean, like the Buddhists, you can, I don't know if they do it by emotions, but they can cause these tupas that you've also been talking about. And is that the same? Is it more emotional?
No, it's not the same. The miasmas are more like a collective cloud, collective emotion.
Memory and emotion, or is it just emotions?
I would say that they are composed mostly of emotion. You know, just like you sweat, you sweat emotion. You know, emotion is material.
Yeah.
Everything is material, right? So we have perspiration from our body, and we have an emotional body odor. This is getting very interesting.
But this is something that people do unconsciously, I read.
Yeah.
Also, they like the smell of people and don't like the smell of other people.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's right.
we are these primitive instincts, right? Is that the case?
Well, it's natural that animals look at dogs. Look at how many things she can smell.
Yeah.
She can smell 100 more things than you, that little animal.
So these clouds, they can come to you even though you're feeling okay.
Yeah, that's right.
They suddenly come here and you feel blue.
Yeah,
Out of the blue.
that's right. You suddenly have a mood,
Yeah.
and you don't know what it
Do you
is.
think, John, that they can direct those clouds as well?
I don't know about that. That's a good question.
Don't think like that.
I don't know about that.
In my experience, those clouds can get supercharged with this Archons technology.
No, with harp and
And
stuff.
when I have
Because we have harp and
when I
sound.
have my cell phone in my pocket and I feel this coming on really strong from nothing, I can just turn off my phone, and then sort of I feel released from the grip of it a little bit. So I think our technology is supercharging our toxic waste floating around.
Absolutely. That's absolutely how I see it. You see? So, now let's analyze that situation just for a moment. Let's assume that the Divine Mother has taken the measure to shield us from any additional Archon attacks. She has blocked their sound frequencies. So we only have to deal with what's in our environment now. There's no more coming in. Do you understand?
But the ones who are already
Sure.
here, they are already here.
There's
Or
what's
the
here
technology
now.
is here. The technology is
The technology
Good.
the technology that maintains that is here, but there's no more of it externally coming. I mean, do you realize how wonderful that is?
Yeah, it's very comforting to have.
That means that we're given a chance to handle it.
Yeah.
Because we created the technology ourselves, you know. So I think that it's evident already that people are, even if they're not getting away from the internet, they're becoming aware that I just don't want to be there so much anymore, right? And I think that Facebook losing a third of its traffic that is enormous. Because there are billions of people on Facebook.
That's a sign.
That's a really big sign. So that will continue. However, I think the problem of the miasmas is has to be considered carefully, because let's say that Sophia is taking us through a healing crisis. She's taking the human species through a healing crisis. So typically, what happens in a healing crisis is that you have to have a catharsis. You see? You absorb that negative miasma. You absorb that rotten emotional energy, and then you have to get it out of your body, and that's a process of catharsis. Fever, shaking, tears, right?
Many tears.
Yeah, many tears. Tears cleanse you, right? So I'm suspecting that you will see people going through this. And in some respect, it will be a good thing. They need to go through it to clear their bodies of the accumulation of this miasma. You see? So, if this is true, if this picture is correct, there are certain types of behavior in the collective world that we can expect to see. That's verification that this is correct. I expect that. Another aspect of the healing process, which is really critical, is the healing of narcissism.
Yeah.
Because narcissism is a terrible, terrible disease in our society. And narcissism is very much connected with these machines, right? What is this? What is a selfie?
Selfies.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many likes I get from them. I mean, it's just
And the likes.
I put the picture of the coffee and the not because I want them to know, because I want the confirmation.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And narcissism is a big problem for the planetary animal mother, because it seals people into a false ego construct, you know. And then they can't see her, and they will never see her and never love her if they are in that narcissism.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that promote narcissism, aren't there?
Yes.
Everything promotes narcissism. They have, all the products they're selling you are based on some kind of narcissism or another, right?
Yeah.
The fashion particularly, and so this is massive, and this has to collapse. It does. It has to collapse. And there'll probably be there will be damage, you know. I think that no one has ever lived through a time like this before, but there have been times in human history when there have been what is called collective madness. You know, there have been outbreaks of collective madness in our species.
Can you say a time period?
There's a book that's called, what's it called? Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. This is a book that was actually written in the 19th century. Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. And it talks about these collective madness that people have gone through. It gives you know, the history of them, various ones. I can't think. Let me see. What ones does it mention? I can't think of any examples right now, but it's a phenomenon that's known, and I would say that we might be heading for the biggest collective madness that we've ever seen.
I think it has also something to do with Uranus going in retrograde, that people are getting also very weird and Nothing to do with that. Sorry, I like.
Well, Uranus goes retrograde for 5 months every year.
Okay.
So you can be crazy for 5 months every year. And we'll just say, oh, Laura, she's just, it's astrology.
Yeah.
There you go.
No. So it's not that.
It's not maybe all bad.
No, I like going crazy. But do you think this cloud is affecting everyone, or it's more to some kind of people, or?
Getting back to what Åsa said, those who make the connection with the mother already have an immunity. Just recognizing her is an immunity. And the more intimate you become, the more you hold your connection to her, the stronger you will be. And you will not be vulnerable to being attacked. You will not be, you can walk through the pollution and it won't touch you. You know? And you can test that out. I mean, look at, what happens when you fly. We all go to the airport, right? An airport is a place where there's an enormous amount of pollution because of all the devices, because people are coming from all over the world. And then you have what they sell you in the airport. The first thing that you come into is what? The perfumes, right?
No.
The duty-free, right? So, and then there's the Victoria's Secret and all the sexy women's, And, I walk through that every time I go to the airport. Does it affect me? Not in the least.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, if I had a machine gun, I would go up to, they have these screens now that are more than life-size with these Victoria's Secrets women in their underwear.
I mean the commercial.
Yeah, the commercial for I would just...
Like in the movie... what's the name of the movie? When he he puts his glasses on and he's...
Yeah, they live.
They live.
Yeah. So you see, you can tell.
But it's also, isn't it? I mean, with her immunity, you can also make more balance in your life regarding these kind of things, right? You also see and feel when it's too much, when things are getting too much. I mean,
you have a natural reaction when it's intruding on you too much.
Yes, exactly, yeah. It's not natural. It's like artificial.
It's totally artificial. Everything is. It's a good test to, walk through the airport and just walk and see, see if you're affected by it. So that's only can get stronger. The immunity can get stronger, and she will have solutions. I'm sure she'll have many things to teach us about how to survive.
Aren't we inside this collective insanity right now? Looking at America with the divide in the politics scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The thing that happened the other day at Las Vegas, I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know, but I see people react to it. And it's like they want to just push people to go more into this total insanity. It's already there.
Yeah, well, that's also drama too. People like the drama.
Yeah.
They're addicted to drama.
Yeah.
And there's a tendency to go more into it, to become. It's a form, almost like entertainment for them.
It's emotional drug. Yeah, right. Because we don't know if that was. I don't know that if it was, because I feel the same as you. But it's like maybe it was set up. Maybe who knows?
Yeah, I don't care.
There's no way to tell. And
Exactly. Why go in there and bother?
exhaust your brain trying to figure it out?
Yeah.
So, John, how do you see this from shamanic? Or no, maybe you can choose your own perspective. But this, when there will come a time when it's like they've never been here. Is that about the splitting thing as well?
Well, you know, that quotation, which is from the Apocalypse, the Apocryphon of John, the secret book of John. No, it's from On the Origin of the World, excuse me. That quotation has been floating in my mind ever since I began the YouTube channel. Because in a way, I don't know. It's like a prediction of the Mandela effect. Isn't it? What is the Mandela effect? The Mandela effect is really silly, but it's very profound at the same time. You know, it's so trivial. I mean, who cares if the letters on the cereal box, you know, was that way and now they've changed and they're this way? I mean, but no, there's something behind it that's really powerful. So, like, I remember interview with a vampire. Okay? But now, if you go and look on the internet, well, it says interview with the vampire. Okay? So, what's that about? Well, to the people who see interview with the vampire, it's as if it never was interview with a vampire. See what I mean? I know that it's both. See? It's not enough to be touched by the Mandela effect. You have to catch the trick of it. So, you catch the trick of it. Realize it was interview with a vampire, and then that got erased, and now it's interview with a vampire. So I know both, but some people only know the one. And they say, oh, it's always been interview with the vampire. There's never been anything else, right? So what does that mean? It means that it's possible to alter the human mind so that you would completely lose the memory of something that existed before. And I think that's what that passage says. It says, at the consummation of your works, amid your spectral forms, the spectral forms are these wave forms, these phantom forms produced by this technology. Amid your spectral forms, the luminous child will come, and the luminous child will defeat you. Right? You will be defeated by that luminous child, and all of your works will be reduced to clay. And it will be as if they never were. Right? And it's possible that you could get up one day and you would not even remember that we ever had any of these problems. And maybe that's what she wants for us. It's an enigma how that could ever be done, but who knows? You know?
Is it 200 years?
No, I don't think we're going to have to wait till the end of the Kalpa for that. 2 weeks, then. Promise. It's amazing to think about, isn't it? You know? It's like, I have a standing joke with my friend down there. And sometimes we get up in the morning, we're having coffee, and I'd say, oh, just a day without thinking about the Jews. Oh. One day, please. Please.
What's the Jews? Never heard of.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to have it like that. I want to see them.
Yeah, I know. I want to see them go down.
Yeah,
I want to see them suffer.
Despair. Yeah.
I really want to see them suffer. I want to see them die right in front of me. I really do. And this is something we feel too. And how it all goes together, I don't know. But I believe that feeling is a good feeling. It's a natural feeling. It's a natural reaction to anyone that has caused the kind of horror that they have caused. I just don't want to see them gone, I really want to see them suffer. I do. And this is another subject as to how that's possible. It's very strange. We're kind of living in two worlds, you know. We're living in the world of correction. Our lives are getting better. We're getting clearer. We get closer to her every day. And yet we can't ignore that this is the condition of the earth. You know, this is, so you live in those two worlds.
You know, in the spiritual community or New Age, they talk about this like, well, I had problems with this because this is my experience with the suicide period. And people say to me, like spiritual friends, like they say, well, wow, you should thank them. They really helped you to connect stronger with her. Do you recognize that?
That explanation?
Yeah, that we should, that everything is meant to be.
Yes, that's
so
right.
you should just forgive and love them
That's
because
right.
they sent you into
That's
the...
right.
And
Yeah, I've heard
I'm
that.
so difficult with that. I just,
Yeah.
I can't see it in that way. So,
It's a blind spot. Also, they have a blind spot. They don't see.
and it's like you're not spiritual enough to see
you're
that.
not loving enough.
No, you're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
spiritual enough
exactly.
because you're angry. You have got lots of...
You have these people, and then you have on the other side
them.
the people that they say that they haven't done anything. You know, they haven't done anything wrong. And the other ones that you say that
everything is perfect.
everything is perfect, and
Everything
they are
is-
not doing anything. They are not causing any damage. But
Well, those are not, those attitudes are very well known in the New Age. One of them
Yeah.
says, I'll be thankful to those people who have done harm because they have just loved them and they have brought you to a higher truth. That's an attitude
I hate
of a coward. That's the attitude
That
of a
moment
coward.
you should just slap them in the face
Yeah,
really hard.
that's
and
what I
say,
wanna do.
"Yeah,
It's
just
like-
thank me. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank me. Right. Right.
Yeah, it's like you're so bad.
Yeah.
You have this hate in you.
Yeah, yeah.
You come to us. We're so spiritual.
Yeah.
Turn around and bend over and let me really kick you really hard in the ass.
Yes.
And then you tell me thanks. Huh? As for the others who believe in this perfection, well, that's just complete denial. I mean, they're living in fantasy.
Yeah, but it's a big...
Everything is the way it's meant to be.
But that's also like a big wave in this... as we talked about, the religion was the programming they used, the tool. But in the New Age now, in yoga, yoga is so big, and it's also... And the New Age.
It's big here in Sweden.
Huge. Everybody's doing yoga.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see people with their stupid things everywhere.
Yeah.
So big. I don't know. It's very stupid.
It's narcissism.
Yeah, it's
That's,
narcissism.
you
Really is.
got it. Everybody's going with their green juices, and everybody's like, "Oh, I have a personal trainer, and I go to the gym every day, and I do yoga." You're like, "Good." If you don't put it on Facebook, it doesn't count. Everybody's doing it every day. Every day do it. They love it.
I love to do yoga, but
Yeah.
I don't like most of them I do it with.
No.
I think it's more like how you approach it, how you are like a person. Also, it's not the yoga thing. It's like how you practice it. How
No, yoga is nice.
It's
I mean,
nice to stretch your body, but
it's more like how these people are.
yeah.
I mean, it's their behavior.
And how they project that
yeah,
on
but I mean,
you.
when
that you should be
yoga
like-
came to Friskis och
Yeah.
Svettis and on this kind of places, it's like, it's not working. I mean, honestly. No. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit.
No.
Question. Speaking the Mandela effect, or relative to the Mandela effect. John, during the Mandela effect decoded, you have found many clues related to the Christian religion. Yeah, indeed. What about the Muslim religion? Have you detected any clues pointing to them? If not, why? Okay.
Very good question.
I have not detected any specific clues relating to the Muslim religion. No. Can't say that I have. So why not? Well, the intention to demolish Christianity and open the way for Christians to come to Sophianic animism, which is the religion of the planet, is clear in the Mandela effect by the fact that there are hundreds of biblical changes. This is undeniable. So if Christians rely on the Bible and they believe it's the Word of God, and suddenly they're finding, like, who knows what, dicks and nipples and tires and things that they're finding here, it's really hilarious. There's like, there's a lot of obscenity coming up in the Bible now, and
How does that go along with sin? Sin.
That's right. How does that go along with sin, right? So that's obvious. So how is the Mandela effect? Is it would it be reaching the Muslim world? I don't think so, because of they're below the IQ level.
Yeah, exactly.
There is an IQ limit with the Mandela effect, which is probably about 90, 95.
Mm-hmm.
Anything below that, they're not going to be able to take advantage of the Mandela effect. And the average IQ of Muslim and Arabic people is around 80.
Yeah, really?
Yes, it is. So that means if they were sitting here with us, a couple of them, a man and a woman, from that population, let's say have an IQ of 85, let's say they could speak perfect English, they wouldn't be able to follow you for 5 minutes.
No.
Yeah. Because they cannot go from A to B to C. They cannot, their probative faculty is so bad that they can only think what they're told to think. They cannot think for themselves. They just can't.
So, how come they are conquering Europe almost?
They're not conquering Europe. I think it's
They
a lot of crap. I think it's propaganda from the Jews. The Jews use them as a weapon against us. And then they tell us in the news that they're going to outbreed us and everything. And they warn us about that. And I think it's all a big lie.
But they spread through a big part of the world.
Yeah, they do spread because they're a parasitical culture. They're an expression of the Archons as well. You know? So my sense about the Muslims is that she's got some plans for them, very definitely. And let's see, let me think carefully about this for a moment. Lately I've been talking with my partner about some intel that I got a month or so ago. And to give you the distillation, I won't go into a long story, the distillation of this intel concerns the Jews and the Muslims, racially speaking, okay, in terms of race. So, what I got in this intel, and I'm still developing it, I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but I'll just give you a preview. My friend said, well, John, you should call this the deep, dirty secret of the Jews. And they got a lot of dirty secrets. But this is the deep, dirty secret of the Jews that the world needs to know. They're Arabs.
Of course they are.
Isn't it
the
obvious?
same.
Isn't it obvious?
They are the same as the gypsies.
Yeah. They are Arabs.
They Yeah.
The Jews are just a certain family of Arabs. So this is, but people don't know this. You know, it's obvious to you.
Yes.
You know, and there's this game that's being played. Well, Jews hate Arabs. Arabs hate Jews. Look at what they do to the Palestinians. They must hate Arabs, but they are Arabs.
It's like Guatemala and Mexico. We're the same. It's like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. So this is the dirty secret, and so if that's true, then it means that when the Zenosh, the Jews, go, then the Muslims go. She has the same plan for them because they're the same. They really are.
Isn't the Saudi Arabian
Royal family.
Jewish?
Yeah, but that's a big revelation to many people on the internet. When they, did you know that the Arab Saudi royal family was only invented, in the 1930s, right? When they found oil there. So they invented these princes. And they're all Jews. But no, the Jews are Arabs. They're Jews because the Jews are already Arabs in the first place. See? It's this mindfuck.
Is this a disguise from them?
Yeah, it's a disguise. They're always fucking with your mind. They're always trying to hide. The Zenosh is a parasite that's always trying to hide. And every time you detect it, it shifts into something else.
Like
oh, it's not over
parasite.
there. Oh, it's not over there.
Yeah.
That's not that. It's not that. So, the Zenosh, the great question, of course, and we would come to this in the beautiful light of the afternoon, is how to take the Zenosh down. This is the great question. Incorrection. How to really take them down. How to defeat them and to annihilate them. To exterminate them.
Yeah.
You know? This is the great question. And how much of that do we do? What is our part in that? That, I guess, would be a better way to put it. Let's say we can trust that she's got that case. Okay, she's working on that case, right?
I mean, that's what they are doing to all the others. They distance themselves from all the others, and they say that you are goyis and you should just you're trash.
That's right.
So
you're less than human, and they're more than human, right?
Exactly. So
the question is, what is our role? What is our part in defeating them and taking them down? And of course, this goes into the subject of the Calico War Party.
Yeah.
Could it be that one of the solutions is to strengthen the immunity, of course, and to also build from that platform, if you understand, if you know what I mean? Maybe not. It's not so. How do you say? Attacking, but it's to strengthen the platform.
Right, to expel them. It's like if your body has a parasite, then you take herbs and you do exercises to strengthen the resistance, and the body expels them.
Yeah, in some ways of that.
Certainly, that's part of it. That's part of it.
Part of it, yeah.
So there's a defensive action against the Zenosh,
And
right?
and an offensive.
And an offensive. But what is the offensive? This is what I wonder. But that brings it to this. That brings the talk to the subject of the Kalika War Party. So you can be in planetary tantra, and you can practice everything in that path, and not be a Kalika.
That's the defensive side, right?
Yeah.
What makes you a Kalika? First, you have to be a Shakta, or you have to be in planetary tantra. So it's like Shakta and Kalika, right? So the Shakta is the person who is connected to her power and loves her power and worships her power because her power is Shakti. So you're a Shakta if you're in planetary tantra. But what makes you a Kalika? Well, you're a Kalika if you choose to take the path of direct offensive against the Xenosh, then you're a Kalika, because Kali is the warrior aspect of the earth. So to serve Kali, to be in Kali's party, is to be in that battle. And so it's always good to know it's a choice. You don't have to be a Kalika. But if you're in planetary Tantra, you have to recognize the Kalikas and you have to accept the fact that they want to kill and that they will use lethal force if they have the opportunity. And you have to accept that. You can't make a judgment on them because of that. But how that's going to play out, I don't really know. I don't know. It's a big question to live with. That was a question here. Wants to know more about the KWP, Kalika War Party. You know, the Kalika War Party is on the internet and it's in 7 languages, right? The manifesto to the Kalika War Party. And it just sits there. It's been there since December of 2014, almost 3 years. And it just sits there, right? There it is. And I wonder about it myself sometimes. But I'll tell you a little story about a man, an American, named Edward Abbey. And Edward Abbey was an American writer. And he was a radical and a romantic, very, very lovely guy. An American intellectual, a novelist, a romantic. He really loved women. A renegade and a rebel. Abbey. Edward Abbey. And sometime in the late 60s, Edward Abbey wrote this book. And it was called The Monkey Wrench Gang. Okay? Now, do you know what a wrench is?
Yeah, a monkey wrench.
Yeah. And a monkey wrench is when you throw the monkey wrench at the machine and it breaks the machine. Right? This is called The Monkey Wrench Gang. So he wrote this novel called The Monkey Wrench Gang. And it was a pure fiction. And in this novel he describes this group called the Monkey Wrench Gang who go and they sabotage. Well, one of the things they did was they went to a logging area where the big corporation was cutting down the forest, and they put sugar in the gas tanks of the machines, and they sabotaged all the equipment. They didn't harm anybody, but they sabotaged the equipment so that they couldn't destroy the forest. And then they did other things too. You get the idea. They were eco-warriors, right? Protecting the earth against the various corporations and things like this. So Edward Abbey wrote this novel, and about 10 years after he wrote this novel, this group appeared. They called themselves Earth First. And they went out and they did exactly the things that he said in the novel. So there was a fiction that became a fact. That's what the Kalika War Party is right now. Right now, it's just kind of a fiction. It's just something I invented. It's purely a fiction. But it's a fiction that has the ability to become a fact. When a certain, I don't know what has to happen. Something has to happen for it to, materialize it. So implement it. That's right. So I don't worry about it, I just leave it there. I think it's quite brilliant and strong.
Very.
The Thunderbird is just like, I love that Thunderbird. I have a Thunderbird flag hanging at my house.
Did you get the flag?
Yeah. I want to get a really big one.
How
Like the Nazis had at Nuremberg, the big swastikas like 30 feet wide, and I want to get a Thunderbird that big.
How
hang
big
it
is this
somewhere.
one? How big is this one?
Oh, it's small. It's only about that
Do you
big.
have, what's the name of flaggistan?
No, it's on the wall.
No, it's hanging from the porch.
Should have a pole,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
how do you say, draw it up
Yeah.
outside the house.
Yeah. So, there it is, and it's not going to go away, and it's real. It is powerful. The Thunderbird is an expression of her power, just like the Shakti cluster is. So. And it's guerrilla warfare, you know. Like Nemitta is going to do bumper stickers. So each country will have its own bumper sticker.
What's the bumper sticker?
It's you put it on a card. Okay?
Oh, that's great.
So we have to we need a phrase for Sweden, okay? I'll tell you what the phrase for Germany is. The bumper sticker is the same for everyone. On the right side, it has the Thunderbird of the Calico War Party. And then on the left side, it has some symbol of that country. Like the German one has the German eagle, you know? So if it was the Russian, it would be the Russian eagle, you know, the symbol of the country. So the symbol of the country...
A moose.
A moose, right. And the symbol of the Thunderbird, and then between it has the word, it has the message. So the message for Germany is, get this, Wahrheit, which is truth, macht frei.
Nicht Arbeit.
Nicht Arbeit. Wahrheit macht frei. Okay? That's it, right?
Very good.
De hade den här
Truths make you free.
presentationsläget.
Right.
Wow.
Never that That was the one from my university. Scary.
So in America, we're going to have the Thunderbird, and over here you're going to have, I think, the eagle from the dollar bill. You know, there's the American eagle that has the arrows in its claw, the American eagle, and the Thunderbird, and in the middle it says, what does it say? Yeah, it says dissent, right? To dissent means to not go along with the system, right? Dissent is the rule.
It's the rule.
Yeah, dissent is the rule.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That's what the American one was. I had one for Spain. What was
What's
it?
Sweden gonna have? Yeah.
We have to think of one for Sweden. Has to have like 3 words.
Norway also.
And Norway. And Finland. Yeah. And it has to be a message that addresses the psyche of the people. It has to be just to ping.
We have this.
Where are the men?
We have this. Do you know this? En svensk tiger.
Ja, just det. Yeah.
You remember that?
I don't remember the expression.
Yeah.
I know that
Isn't that also a big negative one because it has this connotation to tiger that you don't say anything.
Yeah,
You are coward, yes.
Yeah.
Is that because I don't understand it? I know that I was looking at that before because Kent.
Yeah, you're right.
Kent have done a song, right? The Swedish band, I think, or they did an album with this quote and a tiger.
With a white tiger.
With a white tiger. But I mean, yeah, something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to speak
to the people.
Yeah,
your
to
heart,
some
your soul.
characteristic of them. That they immediately say, "Oh, that's me." Yeah, that's you know.
Yeah, something positive and good.
That's right.
Bring the
That's right.
Viking in you. Come on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something maybe it should have the word courage in it.
Yes.
I think that is courage.
Protect your women.
Oh yeah. Oh come on! Don't get me started on that one. Oh.
Swedish people are one of the, I would say, it's the most amazing people on earth, actually.
Kind of.
Yeah, it is. But it's because of its enormous amazingness that has made these people so humble. It's the humbleness.
Oh, they are.
So we need to reverse that to make Swedish people understand how fucking awesome they are.
Yeah, very good in the beginning.
Okay,
I'm
this
thinking
is
about,
good. This is good.
Rise up. Yeah, exactly. Show yourself.
Yeah, the Swedish people need And now I'm actually also saying to myself, I need to be more edgy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Edgy is the thing that is lacking.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Edgy and courage also. I like John.
Courage is maybe in there. Yeah.
Mood.
Return to glory or something like that.
Men måste vara på svenska.
Come on, you just drink beer from skulls and now you're... What are you doing, man? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, you are right.
Yes. Come on.
It will come from the men maybe in another... More maybe also. I think because...
You come from a fierce people.
Yeah.
They are fierce. The
They are
Mexicans
warriors.
and the warriors of ancient warriors of Mexico, the Indian peoples there are all warrior cultures. Okay. What is your perception of this weakness of Swedish men?
Lame.
How can they let this happen to their women and not do anything about it?
Yeah.
How do you perceive that?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's baffling, isn't it?
It's like they have like...
But you have to tell them when you were...
What?
when someone attacked you and I went down and I really
Yes.
throw
They
them out.
kicked them out. Yeah.
Så I'm trying to... But,
Är du halvspansk?
om jag är det?
Ja.
Nej, no, it's my last name is actually Finnish. It's my grandmother lived close to the border of Finland, so Paolo is Finnish actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, that explains it.
Yeah, really. He's okay.
but you, I mean, I've studied the people, also the Mexican people, and they are, I mean, just the policy that they have also in Mexico, with you know, you are protecting your people more. Yeah, Mexican borders, and you have certain policies that don't allow.
Do you have any men friends, Swedish men friends?
Guys.
Yes, guys.
Yes.
You do.
Yes. Yeah,
And do you ever talk to them about this? Do you ever ask them, oh, how come these horrible things happen and the
Yeah,
men
but
don't?
I don't know. I find it very strange, many things. I mean, here, you go out to a party and you say like, okay, I'm going home. And they're like, yeah, have a good night. Nobody goes with you to your home. I mean,
Right.
nobody follows you. Nobody cares if you get home safely.
But we are
Nobody-
also
Yeah.
accustomed to have a safe
Yeah, but it's not about
environment.
safetyness. It's not about that. It's about like taking care of each other. It's about something else. I don't think people did like that before. It's about a cultural thing. It's about everything is going to be fine. I think it's about the system, and everybody will take care of yourself.
Yeah, I think also it's about the system, and it's also that we haven't gone through any wars that we
Yeah.
talked about yesterday, and we are like the Swedish people have forgotten what it means to protect something, because we don't have the contact with the earth. Also, we don't have the contact with something that we believe in. I don't like that word, but something divine. You know, people lack that. They don't have that.
Something is missing, isn't it? Something
Yeah.
is missing.
I must
I mean-
say, I
I mean-
think also it's because of cultural Marxism.
Yeah. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Women
in
don't
Mexico, it's a little
appreciate
bit too
me
much.
holding up the door for women.
No,
I
and
hold up
women
the
don't
door for them. They almost tell me to go and fuck off.
Yeah. I've experienced both.
But it's also in the other way, because women don't appreciate it either.
No, that's
Like
true.
women are like, come on, don't do that. I can do this.
Yeah.
So it's in both ways.
Because they are also influenced by the
Yes.
Marxist, you know.
It's a very
Politi-
independent country.
Yeah.
So I find it very, very different. It took me a while to get used to. I mean, still I don't get used to. I get very surprised because
When did you come to school?
2000, I think so. And I mean, still now, sometimes I'm like holding on the door for somebody, and they don't even say thank you.
Yeah.
They don't even look at you.
No,
they just pass, and I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. You moron, I'm just here to open the door for you.
But I have to
Welcome.
say, because I've lived in Stockholm for like 10 years, and now I moved down to the south of Sweden, and that's different. Stockholm
Yeah,
is more like this.
yeah.
Yeah, they're very.
And
They don't look you in the eyes.
They don't look at
People
each other.
don't say thank you. People don't say anything, and it's like no.
They bump into you without saying sorry
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
But it is different. I mean, in Mexico, if you are out with a guy, it doesn't need to be your boyfriend, just with a friend.
Right.
If another guy looks at you, it's just like you go outside and I will kick your ass.
That's right.
That's the way it is. That's the way
That's
it
the
is.
mentality.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
It's
You know?
like you
And even though your boyfriend can get like smashed in the face, that's the way you have to protect your girl, and you will do it. Here, forget it. It will never happen. Another guy can come and talk to you and blah 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 blah, and your boyfriend is like
Feminist.
nothing. It's like just
Because of feminism.
Yeah.
Feminism is
and I'm
really a
not
weapon.
blaming. I'm not
Horrible
blaming
weapon.
the guy, but it's the way it is. Here you can talk about it. It's gonna be fine. I mean, how many times I have been going out and guys behave bad. They touch you, they do whatever, and nobody's doing
Not when
anything.
I've been around.
No, not with you. I mean, no. On the contrary, you are like very different, and that's why
Like you.
yeah. I mean, once I went inside the house and there is a guy down. He just went in and then he went down and pushing out. But it's very different, and I think it's the system. It's not just. It's nobody's fault.
It's not going
The
to
way
be
you're
like this
raised.
forever. Have you heard about this guy, Kai Muros?
Yeah, I've heard about Kamaros. He's Finnish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love his way to speak about these things, because when the Swedish man or the Finnish man or the European man gets moving, we destroy nations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We exterminate
Yes.
whole continents.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we wait a little bit before we get nasty, and it's about time to get nasty.
It's time to get nasty.
And we are about to make some changes
Yes.
around here.
It
I'm
will come.
seeing it around the corner. It's just waiting. It's
Just around the corner. I
I'm
have
not
that
a bit
feeling
worried
also.
about us. I'm worried about everyone else. as he says,
Watch out.
as Kai Muros says, soon people they just need to be really, really fucking thankful for us
Yeah.
letting them to stay alive
Yes.
and
That's right.
still exist around us.
That's
And
right.
that is the truth.
That is
That
the
is
truth.
Mm,
That's right.
Yes.
I also have
Yeah,
that
that's-
feeling because I think it's bubbling now,
Yeah.
and people cannot handle it. Also, they go on these instincts that are primitive, that are, like you say, like Kaimura said. I've been hearing his talks, and he's. I mean, I think it's definitely like that with the Nordic people. We are more savage than we think. You know,
Yeah. We are afraid of our own furious power.
I think so too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way of seeing it.
How is it in Spain? Because in
Spain
the
has a little of the same, Latino Mexican edge. They have that. Which is, if they could turn that in a good direction, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? That would be for protection. Instead of fighting over women and things like that, which they've been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah, but the women there are strong.
Yeah, that's
Come
right.
on, I mean.
Right. One of the things that I will never forget when I first got to Andalusia, I heard on the news, I think it was around 2005, and I was so thrilled that I never forgot it. I saw it in a local newspaper. There was an English language newspaper published in Ronda, and I read this article. It said, well, the 44-year-old Spanish woman, has been released from prison where she was serving something like a 30-year sentence or something, after only 2 years. And then it told this story, and it said, this woman had a daughter who was 15, and this man, a man that she knew, raped her daughter. Okay? So, she covered him with gasoline and burnt him alive. So then she went to trial, and there was obvious that she did it. So she got a 30-year sentence, and there was so much protest by the community where she lived and other people that the authorities had to, give in, and she got out of prison after 3 years. That's what it has to be. And some people think, well, that's really awful and that's really horrible. No, it isn't. What we have now is really horrible. That's not really horrible. That's just the way things have to be done to keep things clean. But the violence that we have now is much worse than that. The violence that we live with is huge, And look at the violence that's being committed in our names. I'm an American. And the fucking American army just spent 6 years trying to destroy Syria with my money.
With the help of Norway.
Yeah, and the help of all these countries, with your money. They take your money and they go and kill children in Syria. I mean, why do we have that kind of violence? We have that kind of violence because we don't have the kind of violence of the woman who kills the man who raped her daughter. If we had that kind of violence, everything would boil down to a manageable level. You see?
It lacks direction, like you said. I mean, direction in the same way, because I see that thing as a sane act.
So do I. So do I.
I've done the same.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine these men here in Sweden. I mean, if I had a daughter,
I wish I'd done the same.
Anybody touched my daughter, I'd fucking kill them. I'd kill somebody who hurt my dog.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the level I'm at.
Yes.
Really?
Oh
yes, but not all Swedish men are like the propaganda about Swedish men.
That's right.
No.
Do you think that there might be some cases where, men have acted in this way, but we never hear about it because...
I'm sure it is.
You're sure?
Sure there
I think
is.
so too, yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of anything like that in your community, in your town? Have you ever heard anyone speaking about that?
No. Not around where I live. No.
Anyway, because they control the media, they would never let a story like that come out. That's why this story about this woman in Sevilla was so amazing, that they even let that story come out.
That's great.
Yeah, I think about that. I think somebody must have, somebody must
I know
have
if someone would hurt my son, there is no system in the whole world that could stop me.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not alone. So of course, but we are so afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, it's so easy to say sometimes, I would do this, I would do that. Sometimes when you're in the moment, you don't know how you react. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
That's why I don't talk about killing people
Yeah.
until I kill one. Then you're going to hear about it all the time.
Yes.
I will not talk about killing people
No.
because I haven't killed anybody,
No, me neither.
and I would be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I only talk about what I've experienced. But if I kill somebody, then I will talk about it.
Yeah.
And people will say to me, "Oh, John, you talk about killing people. Just wait and see until the moment." I say, "I can't wait. Give me the moment, and I'll see. I'll see. I'd be very happy to see." Bergman. One of Bergman's early films was The Virgin Spring.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Jungfrukärlek.
With Max von Sydow when he was very young.
Och Harriet Andersson.
Yeah.
Jag kan ingenting om.
Play the father right? Because he's the father. So his daughter goes off to a place on her horse or a mule, I can't remember, to take some candles to a shrine, right? And she is murdered, raped and murdered. Do you know this movie?
Yeah.
No,
Ingmar
I
Bergman?
haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's based on a song, a Swedish or Norwegian song from the 12th century
I didn't know.
that tells a story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a very simple story about a family and a young girl. She's the virgin, and she goes on a little journey, and there are these men, 3 of them, 2 men and a boy, and they rape her and they kill her. Okay? And then her father finds out about it, and her father kills them. This is the story. Right, and then they go to the place where her body is, and they find her body in the last scene of the movie. And it's very moving, very powerful movie. And when they go and they take her body from the ground, the water comes up from the ground. That's called the Virgin Spring. Understand?
Yeah.
It's a legend that at this spring a virgin was killed. Okay? So anyway, the scene in the movie where Max von Sydow kills these 3 people, he doesn't just kill the 2 men, he kills the boy too.
Yeah, he was part of it.
Yeah, and the way that he does it is so impeccable. You know that scene. Have you seen it?
No.
You should see the expression. He has no lust. He's not, excited, he just does it in such a serene way. So detached. With such poise, with such dignity. But you think like, well, murder is a very ugly thing, it's very ugly. Here he murders these 3 people who killed his daughter.
And it's a little bit, it's a beautiful
And he does it in such a beautiful and dignified way, but without emotion. He doesn't show any emotion like, I'm going to kill you, It's really remarkable. You really should see this film. It's very powerful.
So, I've seen
All men in Sweden should see this film now.
Maybe that could be a quote on the Jungfrukällan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lesson. There's a lesson in that movie for Swedish men today, for sure.
Are Bergman taking this from himself or from the story?
He took it from a story.
Yeah.
From a song.
There's a song.
From a song.
So it says in the song, this emotion, the killing is done?
No.
No?
Oh, I see what you mean. The way that Bergman showed the man killing those men, that was Bergman.
I see.
That was absolutely Bergman. Yeah. Because he could have showed it in another way. He could have said, I want you to look very excited and, he's like, the way he stabs this man with his knife, is like his face is this far from his face. And he just looks at him like that. It's so pure. It's selfless, really.
Powerful.
Yeah.
The Swedish samurai.
Yeah, samurai never, they never were laughing and smiling about killing people. They were all very,
Detached. Right?
very detached about it. That's a warrior trait. So when the warriors return, maybe that's what has to be in the Swedish thing. When do the warriors return?
Return of the warrior.
Yeah, return of the warrior.
Warriors return.
Yeah, warriors return. Yeah.
I was thinking about that movie when they scream, warriors come out and play.
What movie is that?
The warriors. They say they have these things that they bottles, and they say warriors come out and play. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's called Warriors.
John, are you hungry?
No, I'm just...
No, just enjoying.
A quote. We need to think about that.
Can we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Can we eat something?
No, help yourself. There's so much food here.
Oh yes.
Should we go to